Hello and welcome to How Would You Handle That? A series of coaching conversations that are being conducted between myself. I'm Teresa Norton. I'm based in Hong Kong and with a company called StarMaker and work with leaders as a senior executive coach. And my colleague and friend, Ricky Nowak, who is based in Melbourne and similarly is a coach working with global leaders. And what we do during these conversations is we basically share challenges that our clients have faced and then ask the other person, how would you handle that?
So Ricky? I want to ask you a question about a client of mine, because I'm not quite sure how to handle this one, because there are many different ways. So I'm keen for your input. You see, I've got a client who's a real people pleaser. You may have had clients like that too, and they're so lovely and they want to do the great things for everybody. But not only does she take on work she doesn't have to when she sees people are managing, but she also takes on their problems. She's not a counsellor, she's not a coach, she's not a psychotherapist, but she just helps them try and sort things out. And it's not always to her advantage nor the benefit of the recipient, because she's often out of her depth, both in being able to guide them and with energy. She can't sustain looking after people all the time, and boy, does she find it hard to say no. Difficult also is she doesn't see her own limitations. Although she knows she can't do it all, she still finds herself in this position time and time again. So it rings a bell, I'm sure, with some people in your world. But currently, the biggest challenge she's facing is that she has inadvertently started giving counselling advice to a colleague who has some personal problems. You know, the colleague trusts her, she's a good ear for her, she knows she's going to be confidential with it, and she started to perhaps disclose too much information. She knows she's not qualified, but she feels bad about letting her colleague down, and this is tricky. So how would you handle that?
Yes, Ricky. The inability to stay within one's own hula hoop. Right. My experience in dealing with this has been that the person who is, sort of over caring for others usually either casts themselves as a hero coming to save the day or as a victim or a martyr. And I find, my background's in theater, so I find looking at that narrative line and unpacking how they see their role a really fascinating way to go about this. So storytelling is a great way to begin with that. And I'd start by asking where their helping other people has benefited themselves, and then also where it has caused problems for themselves. Like where is it, what's the payoff here? And where is it limiting your ability to be either happy or sane in some cases because you get overwhelmed by trying to solve everybody else's problems. It's a pretty good way to kickstart us by, getting them to share some anecdotal examples of how they're casting themselves so that they can actually see what they're doing. Are they making themselves into a hero, or are they playing the martyr? The heroes generally see themselves as saving people for making mistakes, and they don't want other people to get it wrong and pay the consequences for that. And sometimes it's because they themselves have a fear of failure and they lack trust in the abilities of others, so they feel like they need to take control in order to manage the outcomes. I would talk with the heroes about moving their efforts from doing for towards teaching how to. And it becomes about developing talent and thinking about succession planning. And so they get a chance to still be a hero, but they're not doing for other people what other people should and could be doing for themselves. The victim types often put others first because they feel they haven't learned how to say no without sounding like the villain. So I speak with victim martyr types about putting the spotlight back on themselves where they may be falling short in their own responsibilities as a result of over-caring for others. And listen, whether it's they're playing the hero or the victim, the outcome is generally the same, and that is resentment, because they feel that their efforts are being underappreciated, and this often leads to, some form of manipulative, passive-aggressive revenge, or what I like to call, I heard somebody say this once and I just loved it, the exploding doormat. The idea that it's no, after you, and then all of a sudden somebody steps and it's, and that can happen. These resentments build up. So regarding her offering counseling advice to her colleagues, I might share with her about where I draw professional boundaries for myself at work, because those boundaries take good care of me. And it makes it easier for those around me then to take care of themselves if they know where my boundaries are. So I think there would be a big discussion about boundaries. I also have to share one other little gem, and that is, I heard somebody once say there are two kinds of business, my and none of my. And I think if we can keep that in mind, we will stay, well within the realm of where it's appropriate for us to be helping and where we're interfering. So that's how I would handle it.
Wow, that's hit me like a sledgehammer, that my and none of my. And I think that's a real keeper to close on. And we all have to be mindful of that sometimes, not just stepping a little bit too much into the zone and trying to please and trying to help. So well done you, and thank you for sharing that one. That I think we can all take away something from that, and also use that again. The beauty of what you've just said is that these are things that they're usable, and and as long as it feels right, and you're authentic with it, and it's language that you're comfortable with, I think you've got permission to work out how you can benefit from some of the gems that you've just said. I mean, for example, the storytelling to uncover people pleasers and how they see themselves. How good is that? It's just a beautiful way of putting a framework, and what's the story look like, and who are the people pleasers, and we can all see ourselves somewhere in there at different times. The shift from moving from doing for others to teaching others, that's so powerful. Well done on that one. I loved it. And doing too much for others, that leads to resentment for feeling underappreciated. You just nailed it really with one. The key word there is feeling underappreciated. Love that.
Exploding doormats, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Just that bang, and it's too late. Once that doormat goes off, it's just like, you can just see everyone splattered everywhere. And if you take that metaphor even one step more forward, you say, well, if the doormat blows up, what's the entry like to the house going to be? It can't be comfortable. So these are really lovely experiences that you're sharing with me and with our viewers this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever it is that you're listening in from and whatever time. The beauty of these conversations is that they will come to you when you need them most, and in ways that you can unpack them, because they're not advice, there's options, and you can take these options and make it work for you or not. The choice is there or not. It's just helping you grow and look at different ways of thinking about a problem and the way we think, because we've got lots of experience over many years working with senior leaders in our own businesses, and we want to share this learning so you do better as well. We've had great success, and if it's authentic and you benefit, you can certainly be guided by us individually, collectively, or just online. We serve by sharing, we learn by listening. We're happy to listen to you. Please put your comments in the box below. And if you feel that we can listen to you over the phone or on email or on a Zoom call, just to hear what you're doing, we're happy to do that too, and pay it forward, as we say. And now's the best time to pay it forward. So thank you very much, Teresa. Great insight.
Thank you, Ricky, and thank you all for joining us.